What's in a switch? There are so many different switch options for guitar effects pedals that you might understandably be confused, and you might think this one's reliable, that one's not reliable, and you don't really know which is which. So I've gone into a huge deep dive over the Grand Classic pedal because I want the switch to be perfect. I've got completely obsessed. I want to talk about that and compare some of the options that are out there. So here's a nice easy starter. This is what you find in most pedal builds by small manufacturers. And the reason for this is very, very cheap and easy. It has 3 rows of pins. So you have one to switch the in, one to switch the out, which gives you the true bypass, plus one to switch the LED. The slight problem with these is they're very stiff. So if you like a clonk, you know, the classic electro harmonics, I have a pedal, they're for you. Personally, I've never been a big fan of these, and they only have a 20,000 press life cycle. Sounds like a lot. 10 a day for 3 years, I think it works out as. I can't remember my maths now. 1,000, yes, 10 ons and offs a day. So, you know, adequate. Most of us aren't going to use the pedal that much. Probably going to last you your lifetime, but never really liked it. I think it's like a bit of a corner cut. You can get slightly nicer versions of these, like these, that only have 2 rows of pins. Much nicer action, shorter travel. This is what I used in the Grand Classic, very reliable little switch. Couple of little bugbears with it. One, we've still got a sort of click going on, so I'm not 100% on the click thing. 2, even though it's chassis mounted here, I found that these bodies are actually quite fragile pro rata. If you give them a good smack, they will come off. So if we mount this on the circuit board like I do, you have to have it exactly fitted right. It kind of works. I did well with the quad screamer. I think with it, I think it's perfect, but still a relatively short lifespan. And the big drawback is we've only got 2 sets of pins on this. Now I've seen some of these with 3 pins, but they're very expensive, 3 rows. So with 2 pins, we have to use something called a Millennium bypass, which is a really clever circuit that gives us a true bypass and an LED using only 2 rows without 3, but it's extra parts, and it can cause a low brightness glow in the LED when your pedal's off, which some people comment about. This is a thing. And so I always feel like that's a bit of a fudge. So this is like, it works but it's cheap, that's a bit of a fudge. And if we look at what the other manufacturers do, I think this is really interesting, because of course we have Boss. These are well renowned for being some of the toughest things in the universe. And what do they use in here? Can you see in there this little black thing? That's a keyboard switch off a regular typing computer keyboard. It's like the equivalent of a cherry red, one of these things, okay? This is a blue. It's just one of these, and that's what they have in there. They have one of these little switches in here. Hold it up again, you know, and why is that so great? Well, these things are designed to be hit millions of times, not 20,000, designed to last forever. They just need a little bit of protection from the elements, which of course we've got with this wonderful outer. Behringer, I'm going to hold up Behringer, well renowned for copying things, but doing a good job of it. And yeah, sure enough, they've copied the Boss thing, but instead of using the this sort of switch, they have a tiny little tactile switch on the circuit board. Nothing wrong with that. A little bit flim-flammy perhaps, but they know what they're doing. They know how to get the price down. So this leads me to me and what I think is best. So I love this. I would like to use the soft switch, like Boss style, so we've got a lovely soft thing. But obviously I can't go casting my own pedal. That's very expensive. That's out of bounds. There is, however, an excellent solution. And I've never seen one of these. These are very cool. I'm going to hold this up. This is a switch body. There we go. It's hard to go. There we go. So as I press this, it pushes a spring through, which can then hit something else with a bit of absorbency. And that means I can use one of these, which is a 1 million press cycle Alps switch. So that's going to last what is that, 50 times longer than one of these. So I said 3 years at 10 presses on and off a day. So now we're looking at 50 times longer than that. Was 150 years at 10 presses a day. So that's going to last you a lifetime. These are wonderful and easy to replace if you need to replace them. There's no off-board wires, which I think are ugly. And of course, you're still getting all the sturdiness if you switch. And used together, you get a lovely... you won't even hear that because it's in the case, but it's just... I really like this. And this is what I'm trying to do. Of course, the difficulty of this is the mechanical placement of these two has to be precise. So I'm just working on a bit of mechanical placement at a time. And also, one of the other problems with doing this is I think this is the best way to do it. That's great. It's a touch switch, but there's no on and off. Now, this means that instead of passing our signal through the actual foot switch, which I didn't like anyway, so the order's going in, up, through and out, and then return in, up and out. Never really liked that. We'll need some circuitry. And here we've got a little, I'll see if we can get this in a bit. A little circuit. And this is a sort of a downside of it in a way. Of doing it this way, it makes it harder. So we've got a whole lot of electronics here just for a switch. We have got, I've used this as can we see this here a little? You can see the green LED going on and off there in the middle as I tap it. And we have this circuit, which is all sorts of cool things. So we've got a little capacitor there which filters out the any bounce from the switch. Then we have a Schmitt gate, which what that does is it creates the transition, makes the smooth transition here, which is quite slow, into a very fast, sharp one, which we need to drive a logic flip-flop, because digital circuits expect fast signals. So we smooth it, we sharpen it up, then we use it to turn this on and off. And one of the great things about this flip-flop circuit is we can choose, because of course there's a problem, whether it's going to be on by default when we turn the pedal on and off, that's me disconnecting the power, or whether we're going to like move it into an off by default state by changing this part here and hopefully there. Nope, didn't do it right. Off by default. It's not, oh, there we go. It's kind of playing up. But you get my idea. So, because of course that's an issue with a soft switch as well. With a physical switch, you just have on and off. If you're one of these people who've got remote switching, you just leave it on all the time, that's fine. When you power up, it's on. With a soft switch, we need to put that in. So that'll be a little feature on the inside of the pedal. So most people will just be off by default. When you turn it on, that's fine. And for people who want to put it into a rack, there'll be a tiny switch so you can change the pedal to the pedal on by default. This also lets us do some cool stuff, which is not relevant immediately, but it means that we can programmatically set the pedal on and off using a digital signal or an external signal. I'm thinking ahead here. So that expression jack and whatever we've got plugged into it, it will be possible in future to have remote control of pedals and say, turn them on, and regardless of state, come on, turn them off. So some very cool things come out of this. But the most important cool thing, I've lost the thing, there it is the fact it's just a very nice, smooth action. And what you guys are going to see from the outside of the Grand Classic is just, looks like a foot switch, like any other. And that's the cool thing. I've always said this, technology should be transparent. It should be natural. It should be immediately usable. It should not be confusing, and yet it should do amazing stuff. So there we go. 1 million press foot switch with mode controls, smooth action, no annoying noise, and you have no idea how much work this took. I have genuinely been sat here thinking, just give it up. Just go back to the switch. Just put the switch in. No one will mind. And I know you wouldn't mind, but that's what this is about. That's what backing a Kickstarter is about. That's what backing a project is about. It's not about me giving you something run of the mill and say, here's this cool pedal in a different box, slightly with a different tone. It's about giving you something cool and something, a little bit extra every time. So thanks for watching. I hope that's been interesting. Go stomp on things.